We call it as semiconductor. But now, here we have a question. When you call it as partial conductivity, it is also partial insulativity. Or you can also call it as a partial insulator. When you call it as a partial conductor, it is also called as a partial insulator because partial doesn't have any definition. Let us take on a scale of 1 to 100, even 1 and 99 is partial, 50-50 is partial, 40-60 is partial, 33-67 is also partial. So we have the partial, we don't have exactly equal or exactly half. Partial in the sense which is not full. So we call it as partial conductivity. Partial conductivity in the sense it is also partial insulation. Then why it is not called as partial insulator? Why it is called as a partial conductor? Why it is called as a semiconductor? Why not a semi-insulator? Because semiconductor, a small amount of energy is flowing. In the sense, a good amount of energy is stopped. When good amount of energy is stopped, there is also a possibility of semi-insulation. So why are we not calling it as semi-insulator, but why are we calling it as semiconductor? This is where we need to focus our discussion. Because why do we call it as a semiconductor? Let us take the examples. Let us take the examples, and from that examples we try to understand what are the semiconductors. We know that the best of the best semiconductors that we have studied are silicon. Those are wonderful semiconductors. So now the question is, why silicon is a semiconductor? Why not a semi-insulator? Okay. So now the answer for this question is very simple. The answer is by birth. By birth. Of course, silicon. Where is silicon found? Of course, in the sand. It is available abundantly on the planet Earth. It is available on the beaches. It is available in the sand. It is available everywhere almost. So this silicon, what is the silicon actually? Silicon is an insulator. Is a hardcore insulator in parallel or in parallel with respect to diamond. Because silicon also has similar properties what a diamond has. Because diamond, it takes the light, and from that, what is going to happen? We are going to observe colors in the diamond crystal. Similarly, silicon crystal. You take any sand crystal and you see the sand crystal, you can see the same colors what you see in a diamond. The only difference is that both of them are made up of different material, but the property remains the same. So silicon, what is silicon doing? Silicon is also doing the same thing, and unfortunately, silicon is a very good, beautiful insulator. By birth, silicon is an insulator. But when we are adding impurities, what is happening? A little conductivity is happening. By birth being an insulator, but because of addition of impurities, a little conductivity is happening. And little conductivity is happening in an insulator. So partial conductivity is happening in an insulator. And that is the reason why the name semiconductor. That is the reason why we can't call it as a semi-insulator. Because by birth it's an insulator. But because of some properties, what is happening? It is conducting a little bit. Because it is conducting a little bit, what is happening? A little conductivity, partial conductivity is happening. And because of this partial conductivity, we call it as semiconductor. So silicon is a beautiful, fantastic insulator. But when we add some impurities, what happens? It changes its property. When it changes its property, what is happening? A little amount of conductivity is happening. And this little amount of conductivity, we just call it as semi-conductivity. So now let us take the silicon. Let us take the silicon and let us try to analyze the properties of silicon. What are the properties of silicon? We know that silicon is a tetravalent compound and it's a covalent compound. In the sense, what do we mean by covalent? Once again, what is covalent? Combined valency. Now basically we have many different types of bondings. Like many bondings we have. But silicon, covalent. What do you mean by covalent? Combined valency. Combined valency in the sense here the transfer is not happening, the sharing is happening. What do you mean by sharing? Like bonding. Generally bonding basically are classified into two categories. One is either transfer or the other one is sharing. One is going to transfer, like example sodium chloride. Sodium is going to lose an electron, chlorine is going to gain an electron. Sodium loses one electron, chlorine gains the electron, sodium chloride is formed. But silicon, it's not that case. Silicon is not going to lose, it is only going to share an electron with respect to the other silicon atoms. So this is exactly the structure is. So you will have silicon followed by another silicon, and silicon. So what is happening? This electron is going to share an electron, it's also going to share an electron, a bond is formed. Sharing and a bond is formed. Sharing and a bond is formed. Sharing and a bond is formed. So silicon is absolutely bonded to 4 silicons. It is actually combined to 4 different silicons. So now what is that we are going to do? Let us add some impurities. Before going to go further, what is silicon? It's a beautiful insulator, fantastic insulator. It's a covalent bond with the 4 covalent silicon, because it has 4 vacancy electrons, or we can call it as 4 outermost electrons, and these 4 outermost electrons of silicon are going to have a bond with other remaining or neighboring silicon. So this is what the structure is. Now let us add a trivalent impurity. When we add a trivalent impurity like gallium or aluminum or whatever it is, let us add a trivalent. Let us say gallium. What do you mean by trivalent? It's going to have 3 outermost electrons. 3 outermost electrons. So what is happening? Gallium 1, 2 and 3. So now we are going to add this gallium in the silicon. When we add gallium to the silicon, what is happening? This silicon is replaced. So this silicon is replaced and gallium is coming and sitting here now. So we are going to get gallium here. When gallium is sitting, what is happening? Gallium, let us assume that, let us call this as 1, 2 and 3. So gallium 1 electron is shared with respect to the top silicon. Gallium 2 electron is shared with respect to the second silicon here. Gallium 3, this is 3. The 3 electron is shared with respect to the silicon. So here what is happening? There is an absence of electron. Here there is an absence of electron, and silicon requires an electron. Silicon abundantly requires an electron. Gallium first electron to silicon, gallium second electron to silicon, gallium third electron to silicon. Now this silicon has an electron, but gallium doesn't have an electron. And this absence of electron, we call it as a hole. So this electron thinks that there should be an electron, now there is no electron. So what is the silicon is going to do? This silicon is trying to pull, this electron is going to pull another electron. So therefore, electron somewhere available here, this electron is going to come here. And therefore a temporary bond will be formed and the vacancy is created here. So here the vacancy is created. But this cannot long last for a very long period of time, because this electron is not of gallium. So therefore what happens? An electron from here is going to come and settle here. So electron is going to come here, and therefore what is happening? A vacancy is created here. Once again, what happens? This electron, because it is not of gallium, it doesn't belong to gallium, it doesn't accept this electron. Therefore what happens? For a short period of time, what happens? This electron is going to move from here to here, and once again vacancy is created. And this absence of electron we call it as a hole. So it is once again the electron which is doing the magic. There is nothing called hole. What is actually hole? Absence of electron. And this absence of electron is actually done by, once again, the movement of electron. So when electron is moving into one vacancy, let us assume that we have 3, 4 places in this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let us assume this way. Earlier electron 1, electron 2, electron 3. Here you have a vacancy. So now what is happening? This electron is going to jump here, and therefore what is happening? A vacancy is created here. Once again, this electron is going to jump here, and a vacancy is created here. Once again, this electron is going to jump here, and a vacancy is created here. So the vacancy is moving. Once again, it is also done by the electron. So actually there is nothing called a hole. It's only the absence of electron, and that absence of electron is occupied by the electron. And this occupied by the electron is making or creating vacancy some other place, or a free space some other point, and we call that as a hole. So here in a trivalent impurity we have the holes as majority charge carriers, and this is only possible because an electron which is of negative charge can jump into a space where that space should allow this negative charge, and that's only possible when that space has a positive charge, not a negative charge, because there are only 2 charges, there are only 2 possibilities, either having a positive charge or a negative charge. So this free space, this electron is coming and jumping into this free space. This is only possible when we assume that this is allowing this negative charge to come here, and this is only possible when this is a positive charge. But actually there is a positive charge. Only for our understanding purpose we are assuming that the electron is accepted here, and this electron is accepted here because there is already an existing positive charge, and this positive charge is allowing the negative charge to come and sit here. So this positive charge is moving to somewhere else. So this is what we call it as a hole. So we call that as positive semiconductor, because a hole is absolutely coming to picture, and therefore we call it as a p-type semiconductor. We just call it as p-type semiconductor, where you have holes as negative charge carriers. Now let us see another concept. What is the other thing? Pentavalent impurity. Let us add a pentavalent impurity. What is the pentavalent ingredient? Like phosphorus. Let us take the phosphorus. Let us take the phosphorus. What is it you want to have? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It has 5 vacancy electrons, or sorry, 5 valence electrons, or 5 outermost electrons. So, when we are going to add the phosphorus to this, what happens? Let us see now. Let us see. So, this is our normal silicon. Here we have phosphorus. Sorry, silicon is available here. So, once again, what is the case? The silicon has 4 valence electrons. So, this silicon 1 is bonded to one silicon, second electron to this silicon, third electron to this silicon, fourth electron to this silicon. It's a beautifully bonded picture. Now, what is that we are going to do? We are going to add phosphorus to this. When we add phosphorus, what is going to happen? The phosphorus is going to come inside here. When the phosphorus is going to come inside here, what is happening? The first electron is going to bond with the silicon, second electron is going to bond with the silicon, third electron is going to bond with the silicon, fourth electron is going to bond with the silicon. Now we have a fifth electron, which is free now, where there is no electron to bond with this electron. We have a fifth electron, and this fifth electron, we don't have anything, or we don't have any electron to bond. Because we don't have any electron to bond, what is that we are supposed to do? Now we will be searching. This electron will be searching for an excess electron, and that excess electron, which is not available here. So what is that we are going to do? We need to search for it, and that is where the whole concept is. So here what is happening? This fifth electron is available for conduction now. So this fifth electron will be moving, and which is freely available. So this electron will be moving in and around the space. And of course this is of negative charge, and we have such electrons in excess, we call it as n-type semiconductor. And because this is a negative, n stands for negative, so negative type semiconductor. And it is, what is that we have? Electrons. So what is that we have? We have n-type semiconductor, and what is that we have? Electrons. So we have p-type semiconductor, we have n-type semiconductor. So this is how exactly a basic semiconductor is defined. So generally what is that we have? We generally have only conductors and insulators. By birth it is an insulator, but because of some conditions like temperature or addition of impurities, a little conductivity is happening. Because a little conductivity is happening, we call it as semiconductors. So these semiconductors are classified into two categories, p-type and n-type, depending upon the charge carriers available. If there are more number of absence of electrons, if there are number of vacancies, then these more number of vacancies we call it as holes. And if we have more number of electrons, just call it as electrons. And more number of holes, positive charges, more number of electrons, negative charges. So using this concept, the semiconductors are generally classified into p-type and n-type. But here is the catch. How many such electrons are available? How many such holes are available? So we need to find out how many such holes are available, how many such electrons are available. To find out how many holes are available, how many electrons are available, we will be going into the deeper levels of, we are going to calculate the carrier concentration. What is the carrier concentration? How many free electrons as well as how many free holes, and how many electrons because of temperature, how many holes because of temperature, how many electrons because of impurities, how many electrons because of impurities. So holes with impurities, electrons with respect to impurities, holes with respect to temperature, as well as electrons with respect to temperature. We are going to deal all these things. But before that, let us study a simple concept. When we combine this p-type and n-type, what happens? Let us see. In just very briefly, we just try to know. When we are going to combine this p and n, what happens? Because we assume that p contains what? P is something where we are going to have holes, which are of positive charges. And n, what is that we have? We have electrons. So this is p, where holes are majority, and E, electrons which are in majority. When we are going to combine them, let us assume that we are going to combine, we are going to bring them together. When we bring them together, what happens? This is exactly the picture will be. This is the holes, and these are the electrons. So now what happens? These holes and these electrons, they form a bond. So what happens? This electron and hole, they interact with each other. This electron and hole, they interact with each other, and they produce a junction. They produce a junction, and this junction is going to produce a p-n-type junction. And this further stops the holes to go this side and electrons to go this side. Something like rusting. You know what is rusting? Like you take an iron. When you take an iron, what happens? The iron, the rusting will be formed on the iron. The rusting, why rusting is formed? The rusting is nothing but the ferrous is going to interact with the oxygen. So ferric oxide is produced. But because of more amount of oxygen, less amount of ferrous, what happens? Ferric oxide is produced. So this ferric oxide is going to form on the iron. We call it as rusting. So that it further stops the rusting of the inner layers. Of course, not a very long period of time, but a short period of time. So it, at least to some extent, it tries to stop. Similarly, here what is happening? These electrons and these holes, this electron, this hole, this electron, this hole, they form a bond. When they form a bond, a junction is produced. When a junction is produced, what is happening? This hole, it stops this hole to go into this and also electrons to go into this, and therefore a beautiful junction is formed, and we call this as a p-n junction. And this is what a basic building block of the total electronic devices we are using in this modern world. Starting from our laptops to desktops to laptops to mobiles to satellite communications to any electronic, major electronic, you just name it. It basically consists of the fundamental building element or a fundamental building block, which is nothing but a p-n semiconductor. Of course, this p-n semiconductor we don't use directly, but we are going to use the same philosophy of p-n semiconductor. And this p-n semiconductor philosophy or p-n diode philosophy is manipulated into transistors, and that transistors is manipulated, and we want to be produced this much amount of distance. But this is only possible only because of only one thing. What is that? Quantum mechanics. Because quantum mechanics gives us the realization of the electrons. The quantum mechanics gives us the realization of how these electrons and holes have been pairing together, or how this joining is happening. And this quantum mechanics with respect to this semiconductor technology is revolutionized. Now we don't have a place where we are not using these electrons or this p-n semiconductor diode or this p-n semiconductor physics or a semiconductor physics. There is no place. We are using everywhere. We are absolutely using everywhere, and the whole concept is only because of semiconductor. So these semiconductors are into like p-n junction diode, then to transistor, then to CMOS, then to LEDs and whatnot. Everything. LED in the sense light emitting diode, not LED. LED is a metal. Here LED stands for light emitting diode. Once again, diode, which once again has a philosophy of the semiconductors. So semiconductor philosophy. Now actually we call it as electronics and communication engineering, but actually to some extent it was also called as a sandwich engineering. Why sandwich engineering? It's very simple. Sandwich. What is a sandwich? You're going to have a slice of a bread on which you're going to have some masala or some cake, on which once again you're going to have a bread, a little cake or a masala, and then a bread. So this whole thing, this whole bunch, we call it as a sandwich. Why sandwich? In the similar way, we have this p-n junction diode layered into the CMOSs, layered into the transistors, layered into the processors and whatnot. Now we have many companies producing many processors even in our laptops and things. Thank you.
Sir,